Now, when we've got things coming into us, for most things go through the amygdala, right? Most sight, sound, taste, pain, most of it goes through, but there's some bits that don't quite go through, but nearly everything goes through the amygdala as a first filter. And it's going up to your prefrontal area of your brain, so the signal's coming in, going up to prefrontal area, getting assessed, and then goes on. So as your memory's coming through your being, as your experience is coming through your being, it's being filtered. It's like a running filter on water quality. It's a running filter on sound quality. It's a running filter on your life experience. Love, fear, like you're assessing it the whole time, it's just running. Right. Now, when the memory can go through, it goes through the amygdala and through the hippocampus, and we don't know how life experience is laid down in the body and the brain. We don't know that yet, and it's going to be different to what we think because nerves aren't the goal. It's field and field structures. We don't quite understand it. But when fear gets to a certain point, you don't lay down the memory. It doesn't go through processing and land into the long-term filing cabinet. It gets unprocessed and held there. Well, what's that got to do? Well, it's got a little button on it that says if you get close and hit it, I'll play again. Oh my goodness. Anybody ever had that? Anybody ever get something and something's almost playing off again? Unprocessed memories. That could be like PTSD, couldn't it? Can you hear the helicopter? Nobody else can. Right? Did you hear the latch on the door? After that, your partner got shot last time. Every latch on the door sends you crazy. You know what I mean? This is how it's a learnt process, and if the memory's not laid down, it's sitting there and we're hyper vigilant about it. And this can lead to body memories where people have pain in the body. They've got unprocessed, they have a fracture or something and a complication. Then what they do, they pull away from it in their body and they don't process it and they end up with chronic pain. They go through it and the doctor's like, there's nothing wrong, but the pain's still playing. It's unprocessed. The DVD, it's wrong picturing the DVD. But think of it like it's still playing because it's not processed. Does it make sense? Yeah. So this happens to us all, and it does lead to those things we want to just recap. Unprocessed emotion, body memories, where people feel it in their body even though it's not there. Not there now, but it was there at one time. Response to the unprocessed memory, PTSD. Whatever the trigger is, the person's gone. I worked in a war zone for a number of years of my life, and I can't stand certain things as I get older. So you go, why is that? Well, that's unprocessed memory. Now, it can be so severe that the person going on like this can pop off part of them. Take the memory, pop off. Now, if that pops off, and I'm over here, and then in my consciousness, this bit gets more and more life experience and keeps playing. Say that again. I'm one person, trauma, this bit is unprocessed and keeps playing and keeps playing and keeps playing. I'm developing a person part. So the worst trauma you can give to somebody is you can give them abandonment. So if you take a little child that's had parents for 3 or 4 years and throw that child in a childcare home while you want to go and do a world trip because you and your parents, you and your partner want a bit of travel, throw the kid in that, the kid's in sheer abandonment. Terrifying fear. That's up for most of the time. That then develops. So how many people are in this one person? How many things? And when the person gets older, and I've told this story a number of times, They come to the door on a Saturday morning, there's a man there, and he says, "That was a great night, so-and-so." And behind this lady is her husband. And she has no memory of it. She goes to the ATM, takes that money, the camera shows it was her, she has no memory of it. Because there's no memory operating between these parts. Right? Or she goes out gambling and spends money, that was the ATM. Or she goes into a bedroom and opens a closet and for the first time realises there's several sets of clothes. And for whatever reason, she'd never bothered to question why there was different clothes and shoes laid out there, because this part likes those clothes, and this part likes those clothes, and that part likes these clothes. And when she switches between them, she's not consciously aware of it. Make sense? So this is how the amygdala does it, and it's based on fear and love. And you need to follow this and demystify it, because this is the foundation. The thing that calls itself the occult, the occultic world, occult just means hidden. Right? And we're going to display that. The occultic world is using the power of Zoe, is using the life of Christ in a dark way. It's using life in a dark way without love, and that will make death. Life in darkness, which is the life of Christ, makes death. While life in love, which is light, makes life. So bizarrely, the flow of Christ in the universe can lead to death. Christ's life holds everything together. As his life is flowing, if we live it in love, it makes more life. If we live this life in darkness, it makes death. And yet, evil does not have its own power source. There isn't another battery pack over here for evil and a battery pack over here for good. The universe is held together by Father, Son and Spirit. They give life to the universe, and people want to play with it and fiddle it and use it for various ends. You need to demystify it, guys. Just flatten it down. They're deluded. They're working in a loveless way, trying to get power. Okay, we'll just call it for what it is. So we're going to un-occult it. Occult means hidden. We're just unhiding it. We're just laying it out. Not dissimilar to religion. Religion is where instead of you acknowledging the flow of life in your body, you start with a false reference point. In the false reference point, you think you have to get back to God or you have to make something happen, and that's in darkness. Because the truth is, Christ is already in you and you never put him there. So you shut your eyes to Christ in you, Father, Son and Spirit in you, and then you seek to get back to God, and you generally do that through a conscience-based structure with sin, confession. And the joke of it is, Christ is in you, you never put him in there, and Dad's love is in you, and you never put that there either. And as you drop down and not up, you find it in you. The Christian walk is not climbing to heaven. The Christian walk is dropping down in your being to meet the ones in you. And keep dropping down, keep dropping down. You don't have to run from your being in your body. Yep, is that clear? Yeah. So we're de-occulting it, demystifying it, and saying, it's the life of Zoe, Christ. If you live it in darkness, which is lack of love, you make death. Oh. Now, you tie that understanding with this fear and love. Is it any wonder that in the occultic world, there's lots of imagery and dress up and stuff to create fear? Oh, now you're getting it. Because if they create fear, they can split you. Right? And then you function from fear, and then you're trapped. Love doesn't control. The whole purpose for magic and the arts is to control. No love in it. Love gives freedom. Darkness controls. How's that? So that's That's the game. So, development of a person part. So, we can split off and have parts. And then we even form a part of ourselves to manage the parts. It's almost like a manager of the system to keep the shit together. Okay? Now, have any of you met people who might flick in different emotional states? Anybody not? Okay. Have you seen the film Lord of the Rings? Have you seen Gollum flick? Yeah. And they did that so beautifully. He did it intentionally in his writing. Gollum portrays the flick in humanity. It's the same as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The flick there. Gollum, all nice, and, oh, my precious, like the flick goes, Sorry?
David Banner and the Hulk.
David Banner, yeah, there's all this, David Banner and the Hulk, there's all this understanding in our culture and our subculture of this happening. And it's in you. I'm not saying Gollum's in you, or Hulk's in you, or Jekyll and Hyde, but that process is in you, flicking between love and fear. And the gospel, which is formulated in fear, which is the Western dodgy gospel, is not the gospel. The gospel is formulated in love because Dad, Father and Jesus, Dad, Jesus and Spirit love each other. We're in a love story, not a horror movie. All right? And it's really important when you start to understand how the brain's built. So the people who are banging about, God's got you hanging over like a spider over fire, and if you sin, you're going to drop off and be lost forever. I say, you're clueless about who Dad is, and you're clueless about how the human's built. Okay? Okay. So that's just dropping into it. So we can make these parts, and we can split off, and we have these things happening to us, and the memory can be laid down or not laid down. How are we going for time, Michael?
Yeah, we should land it.
We should land it. So I think what we'll do is we'll just review the things we've said about already. The first layer is a startle or a freeze reaction, which is hypervigilance 1. Now, so you come in, you're facing something in the dark print, you're facing something, a startle reaction. The second layer in the nucleus, it can be a flight response, a fight response, or a faint response, all Fs. Fight, fight, faint. Now, in contrast to this, Paul talks about when he's dealing with principalities and powers in Ephesians 6. Does he say we fight? No. Does he say we run? No. Does he say we faint? No. He says we stand. No fear in that. No fear in that. We don't fight. Aggressive, because the moment you fight, the moment you're in a fear response, you've reduced your capacity to think. You just narrow it down. You can what you hear, understand, and think is reduced, right? You don't do a flight response and run. It's the same. You can't see what it is, and you don't do a collapse or a faint and give up. You stand without fear. So when Jesus is getting crucified, he's not scared. He's taking it. He's getting crucified, and he's coming down. It says the bulls of Bashan are coming at me. We've told you that means Satan in the mountain of Satan. So spiritual powers are coming at him, and he refuses to be scared. He refuses to go down. He refuses to be scared and flip into Superman, calling on powers he's got. He stays human. Right to the death. And he undoes the lie that which Satan promoted, which was, God said in Job, have you seen my servant Job? And Satan says, skin for skin. All a man he has, he'll give for his life. And Jesus said, no, I'm going to stay there and I will die. I'm not going to flip into fear.
And do you think he might be able to help us then when we're faced with that?
So do you think he might be able to help you as you wander in the dodgy gospel, Michael?
Thank you.
Absolutely. And he helps us get out of the dodgy gospel back into love. Does that make sense? Right, and then the prey has only a few responses, which is the next is submission. We said you see that in the Caribbean and voodoo, you see it in Holocaust victims. Okay, I think that's enough for the first chat. A couple of minutes.